Hey, second grade. So what we'll be working on second grade is now implied texture. And I hope someone out there remembers what texture is. Does anyone remember what texture means? Texture means how something feels, guys. Texture means how something feels. Now, we were working on our pandas, but because I don't know who has the supplies, and by that I mean, well, for the panda, we would need, of course, paper, white construction paper or drawing paper. We would need black construction paper. We would need scissors, and of course, glue. And since I'm not aware of what you guys have at your disposal, whether you guys have those supplies, we're gonna go with implied texture, because all you need for implied texture is paper and a pencil, and an eraser will come in really handy. So I hope you guys watched the presentation, and if you didn't, it's okay. You can go back, and I believe it's 5 slides, guys, 5 or 6 slides. And I told you guys, well, we'll be working on 3 rectangles. And so what we're going to do, guys, is these 3 rectangles, and I'm just going to draw one square, and then this I can divide into 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, guys, I can now divide my 1 square or rectangle, whatever it is that you drew. If it looks more like a rectangle, that's okay, because what's important is that we have 3 rectangles at the end of this. 1, 2, 3. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to make these 3 rectangles look like wood. Now, how do we do that, guys? Now, why wood? Well, for now, I want this to be implied texture, and the implied texture means we're going to make it look like wood. And I say make it look like wood because, of course, we know that this is not really wood. This is paper, of course. It was once wood, but now it's paper. So what we need to do is start off by drawing a few ovals. And I'll start off with 1, and then I'll go with 2, and I'll go with 3. And then I'm gonna start to go with some curved lines here, guys. And what I'm trying to do, guys, is of course draw something that looks like wood grain. So the grain, the patterns on the wood planks or on the pieces of wood. And what we need, of course, are curved lines and some ovals, guys. That's really all we need for this. The types of shapes and lines, rather. We need 2 types of, 1 type of line, which is curved, okay? More so curved. And I suppose you can have straight lines. But for the wood grain, it's best to use curved lines, guys, okay? Now, again, just some ovals. And I hope all of you are doing okay. Oh, and I want to give a shout out to Jacob Perez. Mr. Perez in 227 was the first to turn this in. Jason, me dio mucho, estoy tan orgulloso de ti, Jason. Gracias por entregarme el proyecto. Y Jacob, te doy un consejo. No los dibujes tan grandes. Los rectángulos, no los dibujes tan grandes. Al principio los quiero ver pequeños, porque cuando algo es pequeño, pues no se te hace tan complicado. This way, guys, I was just telling Jacob was the first to turn in this assignment because he saw the presentation on Google Slides, and I invited everyone. And if I didn't, or if I missed you for some reason, you let me know, and we'll take it from there, guys, okay? So Jacob turned in this beautiful drawing, and it was about the size of this. And by this, I mean construction paper. Okay, guys? So we want to stay away from, you can use the construction paper, but don't use the entire thing, okay, guys? Again, why? Because the larger the drawing, sometimes the more intimidating or scary it can be. I don't want you guys to think, no, I can't do that. That's so big. I'm just a little guy. No worries, guys, okay? So what am I doing again, guys? I'm just going to draw a few ovals and then some curved lines because I want this to look like wood grain. Like wood, like as natural wood looks or appears, guys. So I'm gonna need some ovals, and I'll start off with 1, and then another, and then another, guys. And then I'll just start to add some curved lines. And again, it's okay if your lines look straight. We can always curve them or make a few changes here and there. And what we want, guys, is we want to make this look like wood. Implied texture. That means you as a young artist can make something look bumpy or warped, fuzzy, spiky. But in this case, or for this project or this task, we're going to focus on wood. And what you're going to need is just, again, paper and a pencil. And you're going to need to draw some ovals or maybe even spirals. You can get away with 1 or 2 spirals. And again, what we're doing is we want to make this look like wood. So now I'm going to start to thicken some of my lines. I'm going to thicken the lines that separate the boards, or I want to make it look like it's as if it were 3 boards. So I want to separate my rectangles. So again, I have 1, 2, 3. Now, we're going to take it a step further. So what do I mean by that? For some of these ovals, I want to thicken or darken the lines. Okay, because again, when you look at natural wood, some of the wood grain looks or appears to be larger or wider in some areas than it does in others. So I want some thin curved lines, and I want some thicker curved lines, guys. And where should I thicken it, Mr. Ruiz? Where? Usually, guys, I'll thicken my lines where they curve or bend. That's where I want. And where it's a little straighter, I'll leave it thinner. So again, guys, where do I want the thicker lines? Excuse me. Where do I want the thicker line? Where do you want me to put the thicker lines, Mr. Ruiz? What should I do? Well, again, wherever the line curves, or here, for example, in the ovals, I'll thicken the top of the oval. I'll thicken the bottom of the oval. Again, the bottom of the oval. Bottom of the oval, guys. Top of the oval. And then let me make some thick lines here for the grain. Thin line here, or thinner. And this one looks fine as it is, thin. And then over here, guys. And I can add maybe another oval here. Okay, guys. So that's what we're going to be doing, okay, guys, until I find out exactly what you guys have at your disposal, until I find out exactly what you guys have. And because so far Jacob has been able to communicate with me, and he showed me, I believe it was maybe his mom or his big sister or someone at home that cares for him, was able to upload the picture. Someone at home took a picture of his beautiful drawing, and they uploaded, they turned in the assignment in the form of a picture, which was a great idea. Otherwise, how will I know whether you guys are working? You can always email me and let me know, Mr. Ruiz, I'm having trouble, or I need some more help, and I'll try my best to contact you directly via email, from email, or maybe I can again contact you or talk to you with throughout the presentations, guys, okay? But again, I want to shout out to Jacob for doing such a beautiful job and being the first to turn in his assignment. Great job, Jacob. And again, Jacob, give me the rectangles. I want them smaller, no tan grandes, Jacob, porque, pues te digo, porque si está muy grande, tal vez vas a pensar, pues yo no puedo con este proyecto porque está muy difícil. Por eso recomiendo, Jacob, al principio empieza con un dibujo pequeño, o no tan grande, vamos a decir, porque no quiero que pienses o que piensas que no puedo. Tú puedes, Jacob. Okay, guys, so what's happening here? As you can see, guys, we have thin lines, we have thicker lines, and then we have the thickest. And this is what's going to make your drawing, or your drawing of the wood, look more like wood. It's the wood grain. It's this natural, the way that the wood grain runs. The rings that tell you how old the tree is. This is what we're looking at here. And as you can see on my table, guys, this is what it is. See, this is the wood grain. And this is what we want to do. Look at how this oval looks darker. This area here, this knot, the knot in the wood. And then we have the wood grain. That's what we're basically doing, guys. And I know some of you already noticed that because, well, you're so bright and you're so awesome. So again, guys, I'm just gonna go back and add some more lines here, guys. And remember, I want to see thin, I want to see thicker, and I want to see thickest. Okay, guys? So again, thin, thicker, and thickest, guys. Okay, it's like 1, 2, 3. Light, medium, and heavy. Light, medium, and heavy. So let me go back to my drawing, guys. And again, Mr. Ruiz, where do you want me to thicken the lines? Well, usually, guys, for wood grain, you can get away with making it look like wood by thickening the top of the oval and the bottom of the oval, guys, okay? Again, the top of the oval and the bottom of the oval, guys, okay? And then we can add some more grain, some more lines in here. And hopefully it starts to look more like real wood, because that's what we want here, guys, okay? And how do I do that, guys? Again, it's no worry. Don't you worry, guys. What I'm doing is I'm just creating ovals. So one oval, and then I go around, and now I produce rings, and then I can start to draw some curved lines, guys. Maybe another oval or two. And then, guys, I end up with something that looks like a plank of wood or a piece of wood, guys. So that's what we're doing here, guys, okay? Now, let's go back to our drawing. So again, thicken some of those curved lines. The lines that run up and down or are a little straighter, we can leave those thinner. And let's go back, like I said, to the bottom of this oval, thicken it, back to the top, bottom, thicken it, okay? And let me go back over here, of course, to thicken it, then it's fine. Bottom of the oval, I want a little thicker. Top of the oval, a little thicker, guys. So you see, guys, what's happening here? We're just doing our best to reproduce, to produce again, or to produce it. We're just trying to make it look like wood, to make it look like a wood grain. So that's what we have here, guys, okay? And take your time. And as you can see, guys, this can be pretty time consuming. You can take up a lot of time doing this. So that's why I recommend to you guys and to Jacob to just give me small rectangles, okay? Again, Jacob gave me a beautiful drawing, and it was about this big. It looked like it looked as if it were the size of construction paper. So no worries, Jacob. He still gets a good grade. He still gets an A+. So let me go back, guys, and again, thicken the top of the oval, bottom of the oval, and we just keep repeating that pattern. We just want to, again, thicken the top, thicken the bottom, thicken the top, thicken the bottom of our ovals, thicken the bottom. Okay, and if you want, you can add another oval in here, guys, okay? Thicken, okay? And we don't want too many empty areas. This looks fine here, but if you have an open area like here, maybe we just want to add another knot or a rounded area. And there we go. Maybe in here, guys. Okay. And again, let me thicken the part of this oval down here. Okay, let me thicken the part of this oval up here. Okay, guys, and maybe another few curved lines there. And we should end up, guys, with something that looks like wood. So again, how do I make something look like wood grain? And of course, if this were really wood, it would be a little bumpy or a little warped. It would feel a little bumpy, basically warped. That means something is no longer straight, but a little bumpy, kind of like my paper right now. But again, all we need for this, guys, is ovals, our ovals, I should say, and curved lines, and we should be okay with that, guys. So this is implied texture. Implied means that we make it look like it has real texture, but because we know that this is paper and not real wood, well, it once was wood, of course, guys. You guys are so smart that you know that paper comes from wood pulp or from trees, different kinds. But again, for our implied texture, guys, all you're gonna need right now is just some paper and a pencil. And later, guys, you can always make it look more like wood by adding some color. Maybe you want to add some yellow. And again, guys, I don't want to get ahead of myself because I really don't know what you have. And by have, I mean, do you guys have? So, and you don't have to add these angled lines, but I just want to add them just to make it look more like wood or like pieces of wood. Okay, maybe some 4x4s. Okay, but I'll stop there because if I were to continue with this drawing, that means I would then have to put in basically the rings of the trees. And what's that, guys? It just boils down to curved lines and some ovals. And again, it's more in effect, it's more a spiral effect, guys. A spiral. That's what we're going with. But again, I use the term or the word oval because it looks more like an oval to me. We want it elongated. We want it long, kind of stretched out. So if it were an oval, then we just basically, or a circle, I should say, we just stretch it out to make it look like an oval. And that's, guys, that is how we make something look like wood, by using ovals and curved lines, guys. So I hope you approve, guys. And here's what I want to see for the first implied texture assignment. And we're going to continue with this. So today we worked on, well, wood or wood grain. That means how wood naturally looks. How, again, as if you were to buy it at the hardware store, or maybe if you found or saw a piece of wood laying around somewhere, you would notice these, of course, these tree rings and the grain. So that's where we're at, guys. That's what we're going to focus on for our first part of implied texture. And later, guys, if you guys can let me know, say, hey, Mr. Ruiz, I want to continue working on our pandas, because there were only 2 classes. Only two classrooms, 2 second grade classrooms, guys, because only second grade does this. 2 of my classes were able to move on to the panda because it was so hard for us. Remember, we were working so hard on drawing a representational panda. Who out there remembers what that big word means? Representational. Who out there remembers? Representational, guys? That means if you're drawing a panda and you want to draw a representational panda, that means your panda has to look like a real panda. Not a cute panda, but a real panda. That's all that word means, representational. When we create representational, excuse me, that means when we draw this thing, be it a panda or wood planks or pieces of wood, we want our wood. We want our pieces of wood to look like real wood. So that's the first part of implied texture, guys, okay? And don't worry about these orthogonals or these angled lines. Don't worry about that. What I want to make sure you understand is A, what implied texture is. And implied texture means you make it look like wood. In this case, like wood. Or you could make it look like a feather. Or make it look like a brick. And we'll take it from there, guys. And slowly but surely, we'll move on to other textures. Like, ooh, maybe we can work on something spiky or rough. Now, what do I mean by rough? Well, how about this? If I were to say, hey, guys, let's do this. I want to draw a rectangle. Hey, guys, now what do I need to do? Well, I want to take it a step further. And some of you guys can already do this. You draw one angled line. That means it's not straight, but it's at an angle. It's not vertical or horizontal. It's at an angle. Or diagonal. Another diagonal line. Another diagonal line. And we just close it off, guys. We just close it off. And then I can go back to my what, guys? What am I doing here? Curved lines. And what, guys? Curved lines and ovals, Mr. Ruiz. That's all it is? That's all it is, guys. Don't worry about this. Don't say to yourself, I can't do it. Mr. Ruiz learned to be an art teacher. They trained him to be an artist. Well, guys, I have news for you. I'm no artist, but I will say this. I did a good job of listening to my professors, like some of you guys, like many of you guys. You do a great job of listening to me and following my directions. And that's all we need to do, guys. Sometimes that's all we need to do in order to learn. As I like to tell you guys, okay, guys, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Stop, look, and listen. Stop, look, and listen. So maybe we can take it a step further and make our plank of wood or our boards look more like boards. And how we do that? Well, first of all, we would work on making something look rectangular as opposed to, well, more like a rectangular prism, I should say, guys. I'm sorry. So more of a prism or a rectangular prism instead of just a plain old rectangle. And there's nothing wrong with the plain old rectangle. But my point is this: once we start understanding implied texture a little bit more, guys, then guess what? We can make this look like a hand-hewn or a hand-cut piece of wood, and it's not going to be perfectly smooth. It's going to be a little rough and jagged. So what do, guys? I use different types of lines. I don't want to make it look so smooth. I want to make it look a little rough, maybe a little jagged. So that's all I'm doing, guys. I'm using lines, different types of lines, and shapes to draw. That's all we're doing, guys. Don't forget, drawings are made up of lines and shapes. In this case, we have oval and straight lines. Okay, guys, I hope everything's okay, and I'll see you soon, guys. Be safe.